I actually think there are a few key challenges facing China. Number one is the role of government. The success of China is tied to the relatively successful role that the Chinese government has played in the past. Therefore, as market forces come in, how do you oversee the market? The regulator role of the government and the promotion role of the government will have to continue to evolve over time. Second thing is, if I look at enterprises, the role of enterprises, as in particular SOEs, state-owned enterprises, would also have to change. Many SOEs that I know, while they have strengths, but also they have weaknesses in incentives mechanisms, the decision-making tends to be very centralized, therefore the market response is not always the fastest. Thirdly is people model. If you look at the youngsters today, especially the 15, 20-year-olds or people just graduating from college, do they have the drive and the hunger to excel like their parents?
I would say the multinational companies are mostly managed by science, while most Chinese companies are managed by arts. There's a lack of structured decision-making process. There's a lack of clarity of roles and responsibilities. There's a lack of single-point accountability in the performance management system, which leads to a lot of ad hoc decision-making, which also led to huge capability gap between the top leaders and middle management.
How do we make the cities that much more environmentally sustainable? And that one is a real question. And so I think people are concerned about 50 million people cities. Are they a disaster? That's a fascinating question, because if you were to step back and say, clean sheet, how are we going to deliver water to 350 million people in units of 50 million? You would have a very different water strategy. First of all, reuse for everything, and then desalination on a globally large scale, and then massive infrastructure build. And all of these things will happen over the next 10 or 15 years. And I think China is facing this question now as a bit of piecemeal, sort of like one city by one city. And then as they step back and they look at it and they realize, well, actually, we really need to fundamentally change the entire infrastructure platform in order to deliver, the benefits of the city for a new population.
I would say most parts of the Chinese manufacturing sector are under quite a bit of stress today. We have severe overcapacity in many of the sectors. There are 19 subsectors that are considered under distress. You have the steel industry, for example. You have the aluminum industry, for example. You have the textiles industry. Certainly, you have some of the renewables on the equipment side, the renewables sectors. They are grossly overcapacity. As a result, the average utilization, if you look at the global benchmarks, are quite low. Even when you're super cost competitive, but if most of your assets are sitting idle, not being able to utilize, at the end of the day, that creates a big problem for the players.